Welcome back to the Overlander Outpost. There's a quiet assumption most people make when they head out, whether it's a trail, the backcountry, or even just a long drive, that their GPS will work, that the signal will be there. At the time, the system guiding them is reliable. But what happens if it isn't? What happens when the satellites go dark or your device turns into nothing more than a piece of glass in your hand? The cold reality is modern navigation is built on layers of technology most people never think about: GPS, cellular networks, digital mapping, systems that feel permanent but aren't guaranteed. And the more we rely on them, the more we create a single point of failure. That's the illusion. Digital invincibility. Because when the signal disappears, most people don't just lose convenience, they lose direction entirely. This is where the mindset shifts. Instead of trusting a screen, you start trusting something far more reliable: your movement, your awareness, and your ability to measure distance and direction without electronics. This is where analog navigation comes in. At its core, it's simple. You're tracking distance by counting your steps. You're tracking direction with a compass, and you're connecting those two pieces of information using a map. But simple doesn't mean easy, because your stride isn't constant. Terrain changes it. Fatigue changes it. Slopes, obstacles, vegetation. All of it affects how far you actually travel with each step. And if you don't account for that, small errors start to stack up. That's where discipline comes in. You learn your pace count on flat ground first. Then you start adjusting. Uphill, downhill, dense terrain. You begin to understand how your body moves through different environments. You're not guessing anymore. You're calculating, even if it feels natural over time. And to keep it consistent, you use something physical: pace beads, ranger beads, something that doesn't rely on memory alone, because mental fatigue is real, and losing count by even a small margin can throw you off over distance. Now combine that with a compass. You're no longer just walking. You're following a bearing, a direction that doesn't change just because visibility drops or landmarks disappear. Even in dense woods or flat terrain, you can stay on course. This is where dead reckoning comes into play. You take a known starting point, a direction, and a measured distance, and you move with purpose. You're not reacting to the environment anymore. You're navigating through it. But here's the part most people don't realize. Errors are inevitable. No matter how disciplined you are, small deviations happen. A few degrees off your bearing, a slight miscount in your pace. Over short distances, it doesn't matter, but over long distances, those small errors compound. That's why true navigation isn't just about moving forward. It's about constantly correcting, checking your position against terrain, reading the map, adjusting your course before the error becomes a problem. It's a balance between precision and awareness. And once you understand that, something changes. You stop seeing navigation as something your device does for you and start seeing it as a skill you carry with you. Because when you can do this, you're no longer dependent on a signal. You're no longer limited by battery life. You're not hoping your tech works. You know you can move no matter what. And that's the real advantage. Not just knowing where you are, but knowing you can always figure it out. In other words, in a world where signal interference, system failures, and digital dependence are becoming more common, that kind of skill isn't outdated. It's become essential again. Because when everything fails, the person who can still navigate is the one who keeps moving. There are a lot of resources on the internet about map reading and land navigation. One of the better ones is the U.S. military has put out a bunch of free PDFs regarding this skill. Um, I suggest people go and find it and look it up. If you plan on doing this, get a good compass. Get a great lensetic compass. Um, don't cheap out on it because the cheaper ones don't work as well. I've tried them, and I can tell you, use the one that has trinium in it. Um, it glows at night. You don't have to use light to activate it. Um, and it's some of the ones that the U.S. military uses. Um, that's my recommendation. Learn how to not only do dead reckoning, but also learn how to terrain associate. Um, that's a good skill to have, and I highly recommend everybody go out. So what you need to do for a pace count, start off, so about 100 meters is 110, about 110 yards. So if you take a standard football field, start on the back of the end zone and walk all the way to the front of the end zone on the other side, down and back. You can count every time your left foot hits, or every time, and then divide it by 2. Um, and then keep that number. What I've done when I was in the Army is I wrote it down in my patrol cap, so that way I didn't forget it. Mine is usually about 72. So 72 steps, that's every time my right foot hits the ground, 72 times is about 100 meters. And I use meters because all military maps are in meters in the metric system. And it's easier, to tell you the truth, than trying to do yards or feet. Learn how to use meters when you're land navigating. It makes it a whole lot easier. Anyway, that's all I got for you today. Stay prepared and stay free.